So welcome back. And on today's episode, we've got an amazing guest, haven't we, Nick? We've got Helle Hammonds, who is a burnout coach. And as you can imagine, today's society, the pressures that we're in, everyone seems to get to burnout at some point and some stage in their life. So if we can bring tools to help, we're always for that, aren't we?
Absolutely.
So here's Helle. Hello.
So I want to start because I want to ask and delve into what was going on in your life at the time of you sort of going into this type of, did you do a degree and stuff like that in it that you mentioned earlier on? So what was going on in your life to make you go into this yourself?
Great question. For myself, it was a personal experience. So I was living in London. I had 2 fitness studios. I was literally living my dream life. I'd worked so hard to get there. It was really, I've been pushing, and I thought that was what I wanted, and it was what I wanted. And I'd achieved amazing things. I was a single mom. I had a teenage daughter, and I'd really, really battled to get to that position. It wasn't given to me. It wasn't handed on a plate. I felt so lucky in what I was doing. And for me, I was at the top of my game. I was known by the people in my industry. Loads of amazing people came to my studios and created this really beautiful community. But I'd taken on so much and without that much support in my personal life. So when I look back, it was like the perfect storm, massive storm. But as you're going through it, I didn't realize. So I was in this mentality of, when I get this thing, then everything will be okay. Yeah. And then one day I'll get to rest. But it didn't happen. Every time I reached that goal, I would hardly even notice when I reached a goal. And then I'd just be on to the next thing, the next studio, the next this, the next that, whatever it was. And with any business comes a lot of responsibility. And I was still doing a lot of the kind of, I would say, in the business, as in like delivering sessions, lots of different things, as well as managing teams, managing big rents, blah, 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 blah. So in the end, after working like 16-hour days for a long time, and also with that industry, it's very early morning, very late night. Yeah. And it's a 7-day-a-week business, so it never stops. So in the end, I got to what I call a catastrophic burnout. And I lost my physical health. I couldn't move the whole right side of my body and ended up hospitalized. And for somebody who'd been so fit and active and healthy, but I would say healthy on the outside, like I looked very healthy, but I was definitely abusing my body by pushing it so hard. And then I also lost my my financial health because my business was everything. It was what I'd worked for over a decade for. And I also lost my mental health. I was mentally and emotionally exhausted, depleted, didn't know how that had happened. So it was like, oh my God, I've worked so hard and here it is. And the biggest thing for me was I would say the loss of identity, because my gyms, my fitness studios, they literally like flowed through my veins. Yeah. I built it up to be such a big part of my identity. So I ended up in, let's call it a hot mess, but not so hot. So I ended up in this like pile of, absolute disaster. And what I realized is I need to find out how this happened to me, because I'd seen many people, luckily, where I'd worked and who I'd worked with. I saw this pattern of some people who could take on this enormous amount of pressure, but they were okay. They were always okay. And then there was other people like me who were like taking on so much pressure and equally talented, sometimes even more talented, but kept ending up in this like dip and not fully achieving their potential or perhaps undoing it with this cycle. And my health, both mental and physical and financial, was in such a dire straits that I realized if this happens to me one more time, I don't know what could happen. Yeah. I could die. And I thought, I cannot be the only person that feels like this. And the whole thing with my fitness career, that actually stemmed from an eating disorder. And when I started to work out, I started to feel better about myself. Yeah. So I wanted to spread that message to other women. That, if you work out, you can feel great. So it was never really about the physical. The physical is one side of it, but it was more about the mental and emotional and confident side. So this was like my next message. I have to get this out to people because I don't want anyone to experience, or if they do experience what I've experienced, hopefully without the shame. I felt so much shame for so long. I know I'm going a really long way to answer this question.
No, it's
we want to know
fantastic,
because there's so
absolutely,
many people out there that will
Yeah.
also be in this cycle as we speak.
And
so
not being able to recognise it as
Yeah.
well.
Well, that's the thing. So that led me on this journey then to be like, right, I have to find out what happened, because it could kill me. So I went to I trained to be a coach, which was an amazing experience. And I've been using that since. And then I went and did a master's in psychology as well to understand,
wow.
the academic research behind this. And yeah, so that's what's led me to where I am today. It's like I say, it's never from like sipping margaritas on the beach that we find out what we're supposed to do. So that's how I ended up here.
And I'd say you were probably ahead of the curve when it comes to like coaching and this mindfulness, because obviously now we're coming 6 years post-COVID and everyone is literally hitting that brick wall where they just literally either spiraling downwards, they're losing control, and it's becoming a massive market now that everyone just wants to try and find something, an easier way of like progressing through life because of this kind of pressure the industry has on us, or the world today, shall we say. And where does that stem from? Because I know, unless I'm in physical near burnout or I'm exhausted, thinking, oh my God, I just need a weekend in bed, I feel like I haven't worked hard enough. And where does all that stem from? Because I try and pull back and then it's like, no, I'm back on literally the hamster wheel again. And it's a hard cycle to break, isn't it?
It's really, really hard. And even somebody who studies it and works in it and coaches people, I definitely go nowhere near. But there's still a tendency to go there. But I've learned how to look after myself. So it might affect me for like 2 days and then I'm able to pull myself back. So I think it's just such a brilliant question, because I wish there was one thing that we could say it's society or it's ourself or it's our childhood. It's a mixture. It's an absolute mixture of many different things. What happened to us in our childhood often leads us to these unhelpful coping patterns. So what worked for us as a child, Terry Real calls it the adaptive child. So something happened in childhood and then we made up a story. So your story might have been something happened which made you maybe not feel so confident about yourself. Or maybe not so safe. So you've decided, I must create this safety. I must work really, really hard. And the funny thing is, it's what's probably a big part of what's got you to where you are.
Absolutely.
So it's really hard to let go of. And that's what's really hard. You're like, who will I be without that?
Yeah.
Where would I be? But there is a different way, because actually where you are is because of your heart, soul, or who you are as a person. We forget that. And also, so to go back to the question, there's a big societal, it's what's going on for us individually, lots of the time from childhood and how we've carried that forward in our adult life. What's going on for us in our immediate environment. So that's our workplace, our family system at the moment. So burnout is just prolonged stress. So stress not managed and chronic over a long period of time. So I work a lot in workplace burnout, but this also applies to people who are mothers, carers, people working in non-paid work as well. So whatever our role is in the world, if we're not getting the adequate support to deal with the stresses, the support and resources. So there's that part. And then the second part is what you touched on, Claire, was this rate of change. So what's going on in the world right now? So the rate of change that we experience now is insane. Think about like 200 years ago. Or even 100 years ago, if you went to work, it was the same job over and over again. If you were at home, you were at home every day doing pretty much the same task. We are bombarded with all these changes and we've got to do this, to do that, and to be successful, we should look a certain way, be a certain way. So, and then there's all sorts of things like the climate change, worrying about that, worrying about the political situation, the financial situation. So there's so much going on. The messages we receive as women, we should be this, but we shouldn't be that.
Yeah.
So it's not one thing, but the thing that we can control, as we were talking about earlier, is we can control our experience and how we think and look after ourselves, and then what we're willing to accept in the world. So people who burn out often have a lack of boundaries. We're very much like people, especially people, who habitually burn out. So I am Helle Hammonds, and I am a habitual burnout kind of girl. So we tend to be high achievers, go after those things, tend to care what people think about us too much. Speaking from my own experience, possibly feel a sense of imposter syndrome. So that means that we keep chasing, keep wanting to go after, but never actually think, oh yeah, I'm good at this. I've done this. Like, this is great. We're just like, next, prove. So that's
what I do YouTube. So the other day I was filming that, and that was what I was saying. So everyone knows that I've just opened Muse, which is a Pilates studio, and it's only since we had our last podcast that I've started to think, some of them traits are in me.
Yeah.
And I've discussed it with like close family and friends and things like that. And every single person that I've spoken to has said to me, you need to slow down. You need to appreciate and accept how well you've done for what you've got now.
Yeah.
And so I opened Soli, which was my new clinic, and then forget that. That's done. I want to do Muse type of thing. And they were like, but you should have just accepted Soli and gone into that and lived in it, enjoyed it, and then moved on. And I don't feel like I can do that. So I don't know whether that's something that I have from
like a child
when I was younger, or
yeah.
that I feel like I'm constantly having, not to prove myself because I do it for me and obviously my family, but I can't just sit in calm. It's my life's hectic. It's constant chaos. Like I was saying this morning, I walked in, I'm like, whoo, did you know at 19th today? I've got this, that, and do you know what I mean? I can't just sit in calm and be like, actually, this is what I've created.
And be like proud because how hard you've worked last year on that, because it took a lot out of you to do that as well, didn't it? And
I feel like with that being said, to be fair, I mean, I have got a great support network around me, and I think that is probably one of the reasons I did not burn out.
Yeah.
Because I've got people there to say, I'll take that, or I'll do that for you, or but I'm a very much control freak as well.
See, I'm like that as well. And
I
that's
need to do it.
Isn't it? How do you let go of that control and just like, so I've been journaling, and it's called the 5-minute journal. So every morning for 5 minutes, I write, it's the book, and it asks you to write 3 things you're grateful for, 3 things which would make today great, and then not an alignment, what's it called? Like when you write something to yourself.
Of what you want.
Reflection.
Like a reflection thing for the day. Do you know what I mean? And
intention.
then
Or
an intention. So
you
write like an affirmation, an intention for that day. And then of a night you'd go back and you'd do, what were the highlights of your day and what did I learn? And that has really helped me. I've been doing it every day since the 27th of December, and it's making me not be as controlling, shall I say, and appreciate what's happened in the day. And it's funny, it's just been little things like, I've woke up in a warm bed. Cody's had a beautiful day in school. And that has really helped. And I am noticing them little tools are helping. But before that book, I was like, everything I had to control. Like I couldn't delegate anything out because I felt like it wasn't being done correctly. And it would have been done absolutely fine. And it's how you kind of let go of it, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's hard when you've got businesses as well, especially the ones that we're in.
Yeah.
The face fronted, people want you. Yeah. And it's so hard to say no. And it is. And this weekend.
The monster you create by being like, you care about your job, you care about your clients. So you create these businesses, but then people want to see you.
And only you. And you're like,
and then you're like, why have I developed this business?
Honestly.
It's a really hard shift. And I think that, there's quite a lot in what you both said, and I'd love that. Let's unpack it. So it's a really hard one to shift from, because actually, as a business owner, you need to have lots of different hats. You need to have that kind of fast firing brain who goes from one thing to the other to actually make this stuff happen. But if we keep switching our focus too much, it becomes a habit, and what you were describing, Nick, almost sounds like it's this adaptation phase where you're so used to running at this level that just feels normal.
Yeah.
And maybe your body now is just got so used to running on quite high adrenaline, same with you maybe, Claire, high cortisol, that you constantly need those, like, you constantly need almost like a bit of drama.
Yeah, like dopamine hits.
And I don't mean drama in a bad way. I mean, opening a new business is full of dramas and things to solve, like stresses, like this
things
stress,
going
that
wrong,
stress.
and I'm like, oh, but then day after I'm like, yeah, it's done, and I'm like, let's move on.
And it's a hit. So we get, but one thing I think because I go into lots of organizations and talk about this stuff and do training. And I think people, when I first come along, they think, oh, she's just going to make us be all like Zen. And it's like, no, that is not me at all. Because yes, this is part of it, learning to calm down, listen to our body and listen to what's going on. And I'll come back to the next part about being more values-based. But for me, it's all about success, high performance, but in a sustained way. There is no point having success if it's like this and then or you're not enjoying parts of it.
Yeah.
So I would say that, as you said, Claire, the exercise that you're doing is a gratitude exercise, and that's been proven to really help people with their mental health. And mental health is not. We've got to think of mental health like we think of physical health. You don't go to your Pilates studio once and be like, okay, I'm physically healthy.
Yeah.
Mental health is something we all have, and it's on a continuum permanently throughout our life. So we've got to think about our mental health as we think of our physical health. So, the journaling helps keep our mental health. It's been proven or been shown to help people feel so much better about themselves and then be able to live more present, more lives filled with like being in like, oh, this is what life is about.
Yeah.
So one of the recommendations that I have for you girls is have you ever done any values-based work?
No.
Okay. So we're often driven on these outdated patterns. And when we kind of start to you've had these really great levels of success, often people then go, oh, I thought this would make me feel a lot better.
That's so true, yeah.
So you've proved to yourself all those things. And then you think, oh, it didn't make any difference. So, okay, I'm going to do the next. But there's a reason we're having this conversation today. There's a reason why I've been brought, part of the work that you're doing is actually part of the grounding work. I've watched your podcast. It's like, that's the message that you're spreading. I can hear. So this is part of it. And learning what actually really matters for us. I can tell you're both family people.
Yeah.
You really care about your family. You're really people orientated in your businesses as well. But actually, what is the long game? Like, why are we doing this? So with my clients, we work on positive psychology, values-based exercises. So people get really, really clear. It's like, okay, when I'm 80, will I be bothered that I did this? Is this what I want? Yeah. Is this a lot of this external grasping for outside validation? And sometimes we think we're not trying to prove ourselves to anybody but ourselves. And you were right, Nick. We might be proving it to the outside world, but it's actually to be like, you're proving it to yourself. But what are we trying to prove to ourselves? Like, what are we trying to prove?
Actually, if you ask me, the reason I've done it, I'm like, I'm just trying to prove that I can get through stress, I think.
Well,
but do you know, because that's all it costs.
See, I don't think I could answer. I think mine would be to probably, because when I grew up, I see my mum struggling, I think, so I never want to be out to, so Brilliant. Everything I do, it's always out to give Cody the best life.
Yeah.
But then am I kind of making a rod for my own back? Because then does Cody get them strength exercises then, like them qualities where he knows that, okay, I've got to work hard, and it's hard, isn't it? It's that balance of
I think if our children saw us, obviously very successful within what we've got now, but if our children saw that that's the only way to make you happy, if they didn't reach them goals when they was older, would they see that as failure?
Yeah.
Do you know, it's so hard. I always say to my kids, you can only do your 100% best every single day. Then that is just it.
Absolutely.
Whatever you choose to be, because one of my little girls always used to say she wanted to be an ice cream lady, and I was like, so. But if that's what she chooses to do and she does it 100% every single day, then she's successful in that.
Look at the guy on TikTok. He goes viral. One's in St. Helens. He's got
He
queues
comes in
around
our
the
street.
block.
A lot of messages him all the time.
I mean, yeah, I work with people in all sorts, usually, you know, at the top of their game. And lots of the time, we've been chasing things without actually realizing why we're chasing it. And people end up in careers that don't actually match who they are. So they could be, I'm not trying, they could be very creative, but they've gone into banking or, you know, something like that. And I think all jobs can have an element. You only need to feel good, really good and really connected with about 15 to 20% of the job that you do. So if you love like seeing clients, working with clients, and then all the backlog paperwork, all of that you absolutely hate, but you absolutely love the client work, that can be enough to get you through the other stuff. But another thing which I think is really important to raise is we've become too obsessed with success through work. And so we measure our success on how successful we are at work. And I'm so, like, you girls are killing it, and I'm so proud of that. It's really hard
thank
it's
you.
really hard. So please don't forget that. It's really hard. It's not wrong. It's brilliant. And it's great that you're showing your kids that. Claire, you very kindly shared an experience from childhood. So your heart is now solving that issue for your son. You're like, that caused me a lot of pain. I don't want him to feel that. Which is just so beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful. So give yourself so much credit for that. But where's you in that?
Yeah.
And also sometimes what we do is we spend a lot of time solving one issue and then just not maybe. I know with my daughter's life, I have a grown-up daughter. She's 29.
And she's in our studio looking beautiful.
And we've got the most amazing relationship. And you know, I did the same, like, come on, let's go. Like, but sometimes I know I definitely wasn't present. Like, I was present physically. I dragged her along everywhere. But, you know, my mind was so caught in Susie, when we get to this point, then I'll be able to do this, this, and this. And, you know, and I took a lot of risks personally.
And that's how I feel, because I feel like you said there as well, I started the business and Koji was born the same year. So it's like I raised two babies at the same time, which you probably did yourself. And
and like, hats off, absolute hats off. Like, it's incredible. And having that energy is amazing. But I think what happened, well, not I think, we have these outdated patterns or even outdated societal messages. But now what we've learned is, you know, you can achieve, but also switch off at a certain time or know that this is, you know, I'm doing this. And having a business or being successful, it often takes you into extra hours. Yeah. But it's like, how many extra hours? And just to let you know, there's a really famous definition of burnout, and it's the Maslach-Leiter burnout model.
Maslach-Leiter.
Maslach-Leiter
burnout model.
So how they describe burnout is, so it's got 3 dimensions, and there's other models, but this is the most widely used, widely validated model. So the first one is the exhaustion one. And we all know that when you come to absolute burnout, it's this sense of like complete exhaustion where your body and your mind, it's an emotional exhaustion, a physical exhaustion often. And then the second one, that one kind of comes last, and it comes by us just ignoring these signals, these body signals, pushing through. The second one is cynicism. So that's where we start. It's a protection. So as we start getting more and more exhausted by our work, we start getting negative about either the work, like what's the point in this job, like it's not doing anyone any good. It could be, what's the point in, you know, building up team, building up relationships with your team. Your colleagues can start to, you know, it feels a bit pointless having these interactions, or you get negative. I used to call this my permanently a little bit pissed off phase. So that was where, you know, you wouldn't necessarily see it as a client walking in, but there was an undertone of like, And then the last one is ineffectiveness. So it's when you start to not be as effective as you used to be. And that can be real or perceived. And what tends to happen as you get more tired and physically exhausted and emotionally exhausted, and also you're not motivated if you're feeling negative towards your work or your colleagues.
Yeah.
So then your brain is so overloaded that you start forgetting things, or you start behaving in a certain way that isn't in how you usually do, and you become more ineffective at your role. And what tends to happen with high achievers is they just work harder and longer. So I'm going back to the point. So we will then, instead of working 8 hours, we'll take it to 10, we'll take it to 9, we'll take it to 10, then we're working weekends. And why that becomes a problem is you're not getting the rest. So we as humans are wired for stress.
Yeah.
You know, there's a stress response. We know that feeling, like that adrenaline kicks in. Say a monster walked in here, now we go, oh. That's a real like physical, you know, chemical reaction that happens in our body, and then we run. So, but what's happened in our modern world is we keep getting pushed stress. And burnout is just prolonged stress. So chronic stress that's unmanaged. So as business owners, or, you know, professionals, people, even mums, everybody really is experiencing high levels of stress. But it's learning that after the peak of stress, you have this time coming down. And even if you are at home and you are with your kids and think you're off for the weekend, but in fact you're thinking about work, you're not putting it down. So it's living inside of you. So we've got to learn, and it is a learnt thing after we've been so busy and we've been so high functional and we've had these patterns of behavior that have actually, because what you're doing is you're actually looking for danger and trying to figure things out. So you're putting your body in this heightened state of arousal. So it's a shift to learn to switch off. And the thing about stress isn't all bad. So it's not like I'm saying, oh, just go and, you know, like chill out, that's it, blah, blah, blah. If we are under stressed, like under challenged, say, that is also bad. That is when people are disengaged. That's when, you know, everything just stays the same for a long period of time. When I think it's, you know, when people talk about that midlife crisis that people can face, that historically has been when, you know, people's lives have kind of settled for a bit and they're like, oh my God, is this it? I'm under challenge. Let me go and do something crazy. I don't think we ever have to worry about being under challenge. So yeah, but then enough stress where it's like, oh, it's a bit of a challenge, a bit of a stretch. That's great. But it's learning when what is too much and over too long a period of time.
Because to be fair, I know from like the years that I've worked at that high level, I could never have managed to bring myself back down. I've had to do this tool and this healing to be able to do it, because I think the tools wasn't there for me. I wouldn't have known how to bring myself back down from being at that high level of stress. So now obviously the journaling, the kind of setting boundaries, the coming that little bit back into my feminine a little bit, because I was so highly in my masculine. It's quite funny because I think people thought that we were saying you've got to be in your feminine, you've got to live off the back of a man, and that wasn't what we were saying on this podcast. What we were saying is I just didn't know how to settle and feel safe in myself to be able to let go.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Because I've lived a lot of my life in the masculine, in what, you know, what we can call the masculine energy. It's very like driven, you know. And of course you did that because you learnt I need to create some safety. I don't want my son to experience this. I want a life where I don't have those worrying about, was it worrying about money that you said?
Yeah, my mum just struggled at growing up. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, she had 2 kiddies. She was a single mum. And, you know, back then you didn't have so many opportunities to work for yourself. And, you know, she had to raise 2 babies.
Yeah.
So it was a struggle for her, and watching her struggle, you know, don't get me wrong, we were always looked after. We were always clean. We were always fed. But the luxuries wasn't there that I've put in place for Cody, shall I say?
Yeah, so it makes sense that you've gone into that, but both live within us, don't they? But and that's a male and female thing. I think I have a grandson and he's 4 now, and there's this thing, it's like male, female, and we're supposed to be a certain way. And men and women, we both have those qualities within us. We both have the emotional side, the loving, caring side. We also have drive. And I'm so grateful that as women today, we can create lives for ourselves, our children. It's brilliant. But it's when it tips too far, doesn't it? And then we can't accept and receive help. Receive what could be called the feminine, the more feminine. We need it. Everybody needs it. Boys need it. Girls need it. Men need it. Women need it. It's this feeding that goes around rather than one. Burnout comes from extremes. Yeah, pushing too hard, or maybe that under challenged. I think any emotional difficulty or any difficulty comes from extremes.
Because I read when it was in there, and we always say about this book, 'cause it's a beautiful book, it's called The Untethered Soul.
Oh, I love that.
And isn't it? Everyone who's on that journey has read that book. It's just beautiful. And it's they describe it really, really well. And it's the Tao effect, isn't it? Go too far one way, you can never come back. You're going back. And it's just finding that balance in the middle.
Oh, yeah. I love that man, Michael Singer. He's one of, like, I really want to meet him. I want to go to the Temple of the Universe. That is my absolute dream. Yeah. And I think he does such a great job of talking about, you know, the change in the world that's happening at the moment. That's very real. And we're lucky because we're in charge of our own destinies. Yeah. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because we're in charge of our own destinies, but if we don't work, if we're sick, who's gonna do the work? But it is amazing that we get to do that. Lots of people put their lives into the hands of organizations, so they don't have quite as much control of their destiny. If they're being told that these changes are being made in a company, as well as all of the other stuff that's going on just in their daily role, that's really, it can be hard to manage because there's a lot going on in the world right now. And most organizations are being told to restructure, financial restraints, all of these different things. And like I said, on top of what they're being paid to do as their job. So people are stressed, but I think Michael Singer just has a lovely way of, we can only control what we can control, and that is our reaction to things. And he actually talks, I get quite a lot of people I'm noticing at the moment a lot of people being influenced by the news, and people have randomly, this isn't just my clients, this is people just in life have said to me, oh, the news is really affecting me right now, blah, blah, blah. So I say, why are you watching it?
Yeah, because it's very negative at the moment, the news. I know this morning I put it on, and obviously we're talking about this Greenland in the US, and I had to turn it off because I thought I'm coming to do a positive podcast, and now I'm worrying because he's addressing nations, and I'm like, oh.
I don't watch news. I've not watched it for years. I don't have radio on. I only listen to my own things in cars,
which is a good thing to be, isn't it?
Yeah. So I think it's interesting because it's like sometimes we need a certain amount of that knowledge to be able to go out in the world. Sometimes we don't. Yeah. And Michael Singer says you can't do anything about that. It's not that you can't make steps to make changes. We can be like, I'm passionate about this, so I'm going to do this about that. I'm going to make a real step towards helping that situation. But if we get consumed by all of the news, and I'm no expert in this, this is what I'm just noticing happening. And it's a bit like within an organization, there's certain things we can change. And I believe organizations should be so focused on people's mental and emotional health in the workplace. I really do. I think it's so important for the employees, because as an employee, you're giving your life to that company. You're giving a certain amount, and that should be appreciated and it should be looked after. We should be in environments where we can go to work, show up and do our best work, because I believe that pretty much everyone, when they start a job, wants to do good, whether they're doing it for the paycheck to do good for their family. They do want to do, nobody goes to work, I don't believe, and it's like, I want to do a bad job. I believe humans are inherently good. But I also believe employers are inherently good to start with. Most, many employers are. But we've got to make sure that we've got those great workplaces. Yeah. So the organizations need to take a responsibility, and that really helps them, because when you're happy at work, you can't wait to get there. Yeah. On a Sunday night, if you love your job, even if it is stressful, there is stress in all jobs right now. There is no easy job. But you will go that extra mile. You will open your laptop for an hour on a Saturday. You will work that extra day. You will do those things. You will put in that effort to get that project over the line because you care, because it's a great place. Yeah. And then the next week, it's a bit of downtime. You're still doing your job. But people will do so much more. They'll stay longer, which is good for you. They will attract the good people because they'll be like, oh my God, I work at this awesome place. Like, you need to come along. So it's great for the bottom line. And I know how good it is for companies and individuals. But as an individual, we've got to make sure that we're looking after ourselves. We've got to make sure that in an organization or even in the world, we are only worrying about the things that we really need to worry about. And it's really hard, but we, rather than look out here, look in here and look at the immediate and like, what can we do? What can we do with ourselves first? So that is, I do the same, like get up in the morning, I do my 10 goals, 10 things I'm grateful for, and ask for how I can. It
really makes an impact. It really does when you're doing it. Like, my mood is just so much different, and I want to go and do the tasks that I've set out for myself. I do it, and I'm starting to enjoy doing it, and I go, okay, it's time to switch off now with it all. But I really like that you touched on something earlier, and it was like the value principle method. I'd love to hear more, because maybe the listeners are saying, oh, what is this that I can implement into my life to help with?
Oh yeah, so I'd love to talk about that. Before I talk about that, I want to give like a couple of like tips first. So first of all is listening to your body early on. Your body is sending you signals throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. So burnout comes in these different stages, and we ignore our body a lot of the time. And sometimes we have to do that to push through. But when that becomes the norm, then that can lead to, for me, I'll talk about how it starts for me. Yeah. For me, it starts with maybe like a bit of jaw ache, a bit of neck ache, a bit of shoulder pain. And then it goes to maybe when I'm experiencing stress for longer, stomach issues. I start ignoring what's going on, and my stomach starts playing up. And then in the end, it's like severe backache, severe stomach issues, all of those kind of things. But it happens so much earlier than that. So looking after our physical health is not only required to be healthy, it's also an act of self-love. It's an act of not being, because if you finish work, you need to finish work to have time to cook, to do the things, or do them on the weekend, to look after yourself. So you're already putting in a boundary of like, my health is important. I'm important. So that's a good way to start being like, I'm important. Yeah. And this isn't about, I worked in the fitness industry for a long time. I'm not talking about everybody having a six pack, everybody drinking green juices. We work out so when we do the values work, I do something called individual wellbeing identity. So what makes me healthy in my life? And that's not just physical, that's spiritual, emotional, financial. Everybody's got a different what makes them well. I work with a a girl called Vicky Hayhurst, and she gets very well by hanging out with people and socially charging.
Yeah.
That's not me. I can come do this kind of thing and hang out for a bit, but then I need to calm down.
Yeah.
So when we work out what makes me well, when I work out what makes me well, it then means that I can be more values-based in what I'm doing for my physical health, my emotional health. And then in terms of the values work, as I said before, most of us are running on very outdated versions of ourselves.
Yeah.
And when you look back, you're like, if you look back, that teenage you, that child you, wow, she would be like,
Yeah.
you did it. What would she say?
Of course.
What would she say?
Yeah.
But are we that person now?
No.
Is that what we want? Can we say, yeah, I love these parts of her, but actually I want more peace now.
Yeah.
I want more time with Cody. I want more, I want to do fun stuff.
Yeah.
I'm working all the time, but where's me in this? I'm here for my clients. And that's another thing, actually. When we get value from our work and it feels purpose-led, it's beautiful and it's amazing. And we're so blessed to have it. I feel so blessed that I have that in my work. But I think I started talking about this before, but went off on one. We think that's enough. And then we go more towards that. So
Yeah.
if you get connection, purpose, and value from your work, and it's feeding you, it's very easy to think, oh, great, I've got that. Other people don't have that.
Yeah.
But where is that in your personal life? Like that's something that I've definitely struggled with. Where is that switch off? Where is when I'm work Heli? And then where's me? Who am I? What do I like?
Oh, don't start me with that question.
Yeah. And that's the thing. And another thing that I was starting to talk about, and of course went off on one, is I almost remember this time when some people, because I'm very old.
Oh my God, you're just so glamorous, Heli.
Is I almost remember a time when some people went to work and they just went to work and their life outside of work was so full. They had hobbies, they had a passion and a purpose, which was outside work, and it wasn't on social media and it wasn't here. They were that person. So yes, they went to work, but they had this, and I think we're losing that.
Do you think that's because of social media now? A lot of people, because I look back, maybe when I was younger, there wasn't that many people who owned their own businesses. Everyone worked for other people, and like you say, they had that switch off. 5 o'clock come, they went home, they were family. Whereas now everyone's a business owner, or they work for themselves, or they're self-employed. That it's
You've not got time to do anything else.
Yeah, is that where the connection's lost? I've noticed a lot more people since they had that. COVID, I think, changed a lot, didn't it, for a lot of people who were like, I'm not going back to work for another company, I'm working for myself, because they had that time to themselves and that. And I find that's where I've seen society change a lot from.
Yeah, so I think that it's really a hard one, isn't it? Because I've had businesses since I was 18 years old, so I feel like I'm like a serial entrepreneur, which I think you can identify.
I knew I always had to have yoga. I got sacked from every job I worked at because I just could not lose.
So part of me is like, this is so exciting. This is so cool. I love it that everybody and anybody has a chance at this and can do it because it's great. Like, it can be great, but it can also. Is that definitely what you want your hobby to be? Is it a hobby? Is it? It's a fine line, is it? If you're getting loads of joy and pleasure out of it, great.
Yeah.
But if you're doing it and then you're doing more work than you would in a normal job, and then you're not having fun in it, and you're not having purpose, you don't find purpose. Is that an issue? Is that, do you know what I'm trying to say?
Because I do a lot of yoga, and I'm going to Koh Samui in April to do a yin yoga course. I'll be certificated for, obviously, to be able to teach a trainer, and then I come straight from there, go back onto my Ashtanga course I was meant to do last year, but I had to stop because of my appendix. And I keep getting asked, oh, you're going to become a yoga teacher? I'm like, no, this is just for myself, because I feel like if I cross it over, it then becomes a job for me, and I don't want it to become that. That's my switch off, and that's my hobby. And I was like, I'll literally maybe put it on my little journey, but that's going to be me two different sides of myself. It's like kind of there's work and there's like my yoga, because I've like made sure that that's become my hobby and my switch off. And I feel like these are tools that I've learned just coming on this journey now, literally kind of what, probably value based again, isn't it? Like, what is it that I'm gonna keep with me boundaries? And like, even the other day in like my gratitude diary, I took Cody to a party and I switched off, and I sat there and I thought, I've just really enjoyed being a mum. And I love being a mum. It's my biggest achievement in life. Do you remember? I sat there for that 2 hours watching him play, and I thought, wow, I've enjoyed being a mum there.
Beautiful.
Just literally switched off and just taken that moment in. Now, I'd never probably have recognised that if it wasn't from this journaling, and that I was doing these little bits of like gratitude, things that I was doing, that enjoyment that I got out of it.
Oh, so beautiful.
It was.
Some people never notice that. Like some people never notice. So that's just beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah.
And they're the things, and it's not either or, is it? It's being able to have both, like you said. It's being boundaried, because I've got to earn a certain amount of money to have a life, to be able to support my family. But I am going to have that, Saturday afternoon where I switch off and I just watch him play, or I'm just with him, and that's the stuff, isn't it? I really recommend, writing yourself a letter. As if you're 80 years old, to yourself. I don't know if you've seen this thing on Instagram. I'm not crazy big on Instagram, but I saw this thing, and it's a recording. There's a few people doing it where they write the letter to themselves from being 80, and actually what they realize is the life they're living. It's making me real upset.
I actually want to get upset myself with it a little bit.
It's like the life that we're living now in with our children, and right now, everything that we're doing right now, that's the thing, the stuff with our kids when they wake us up and they're being annoying. That's what you wish for when you're 80, if we're lucky enough to get to 80. So I think it's a really great exercise, because then we can root back to, okay, I'm doing this job because I want to spend more. I'm doing this because I want to make a better life for my kids. But on Friday, I finish at 6 p.m. and I switch off, because I'll do everything in the week, and I've got my life set up. So-and-so picks up the kids that day. I'm not going to feel guilty. I'm doing it for them. But at 6 p.m. on a Friday, I'm here. And not just for the kids, also for me. Yeah. I need time for me. Not everything's about duty. So that's where the value-based work, and then it comes along. So somebody says, oh, can you do this? Can you do this thing? Can you come in to work, a client on Saturday? Or can you do this? And you're like, no, not this. Or I'm just using the weekend as an example. Whatever your boundaries are, it could be I'm there in the week, whatever it is. But just then you know what you're going to say yes to, what you're going to say no to. So
it's really nice that you said about the letter, because that's something that they do on this course. So although it's a yin yoga course, it's again all mindset work, and they make you write a letter to yourself when you arrive, and they send it out to you a year later. And then you reread it to see where you are.
That is so beautiful.
And I wrote one in our last wellness event at Muse, but mine's to open in May of this year. I've only done a 6-month one, just so I could keep it real and realistic, and not feel if I was disappointed if I hadn't done what I'd said in it. But I've done it before that as well, a lot of time. But it's good just to open. I did it when I started uni.
Yeah, just to think
they
that's
made
a good
us do it.
Wow.
And you went right on why you were there today. Mine was to prove my dad wrong. So 3 years later, I was like,
there you go.
Give me that letter back.
Can you see, that's so interesting. Like that one thought, how much, what that got, how powerful are thoughts and beliefs. So if we don't assess them, it's not that any are good or bad, but if we don't think, is this the thought that I want to be fueling? Because look, that thought, I'm going to prove my dad wrong. 3 years, a bet of like pure. So that's great. But sometimes those thoughts aren't great. Sometimes it could be like, I want to show my ex this. Actually, who cares? Like, so things, it's always good to have a look back and reflect. And I think as you girls are doing from that letter. But I think you should do a thing where you talk about those letters too.
We should do.
Yeah.
We should maybe bring them on
Bring
like
it on
in
in
6
there.
months' time.
Talk about the bits that you're obviously comfortable with.
Yeah.
But just to go back to the 80-year-old letter thing. So because I have my daughter so young, I am a grandparent really early, and people often think he's my child, and he could be. But what's beautiful about being a grandparent, I'm so lucky, so young, is, well, doesn't matter what age you become a grandparent, it's a different kind of, it's the same love. Again, I saw a video and I sent it to Susie, but it's the same love, but because you've been through it once and hopefully reflected on the things that you wish you could have shown up better or more or differently, you're able to give that, and you're able to enjoy those moments. So why grandparents, I think, totally undermine all the work that the parents do and spoil them is because you've hopefully got that awareness where you're like, I don't want to miss these moments. I want to hold on to him and, listen to everyone. And his mom's so patient and loving and kind. So he's just, he's a very lucky boy. But we're so lucky to have him. But that's what I think the difference is. And as parents, it's really hard. You're trying to do everything. Like, parents are amazing. All people are amazing. Everyone's trying to do the best that they can. But it's really hard. And something that Bob Proctor says, which I think he said Steve Jobs says, is we can only connect the dots looking backwards. Yeah. So we need to stop giving ourselves a hard time for whatever we've done, and just think, okay, well, I can reflect and I can try and do better. Yeah. And that's the same with burnout. If you've burnt out before, amazing, you can learn from that. If you keep burning out, amazing, you've probably got this habitual burnout habit. Let's learn from it. And
that's it, because that's what I love, because I've just learned something from you then that I would have never recognised. I notice when I'm really, really stressed, my tummy kicks off. So it'll be, because I actually thought, did I have IBS at one point? But then it stops. And I've noticed now, once you've said that, it is when I'm relaxed that it stops. If I'm stressed, I'll notice my belly will kick off on me. Now, and I'd never recognised that sign until you've just actually said that to me.
Yeah, we all have our own individual ways. And so for somebody like us, it's the stomach. Other people, it could be like inflammation with the skin issues coming up. It can be all sorts of different things. Behavioural issues, that's what I was going to say. So when we don't take time off, what happens is our brain will find a way. So what we'll tend to do is, rather than take time off, we'll start scrolling, shopping. It can be drinking, smoking, eating, undereating, overeating. It kind of comes out sideways, and then we start beating ourselves up for that. But it's actually a symptom of this, of burnout, is these behavioural issues, or physical symptoms, usually a combination of all. It can be getting snappy with the people that we love. People's almost, when you reach full burnout, almost your full personality changes, because you go from being like super, super driven, like positive, like let's do this, to being like snappy or depressed, or, so it's really hard for the people around as well. So another thing, our stress is contagious. So if I walked in this room today and I was like, people pick up, right? If how many times have you been around somebody in a bad mood? You were not in a bad mood at all. No. I don't think you're ever in a bad mood. And how do you feel? You're like, oh my God. Have you ever had a boss that does that? You're not getting away with it. You might not say it to somebody. You might not react, but people around you feel it. So that's why, as well, if we think by taking on loads of stuff, we're the hero. We've got a hero complex, but actually it's not always so kind to, it's definitely not kind to ourselves a lot of the time, but also we're doing it because we care so much about other people. That's what we're doing it. We care so much. We want to help. We want to be good, blah, blah, blah. But we can inadvertently make it uncomfortable for the very people we're trying to make it comfortable for. And people love presence. So the reason that we're having such a great conversation, well, I think it's great.
I'm speechless. Normally I'm like literally injecting, asking questions, but I'm just learning so much. So
well, the reason that we're having this great conversation is because we're also present. Because the camera's on, the lights are on. We've come here to do this. We're not on our phones. We're not on. And that's the biggest gift that we can ever give to ourselves, our children, our employees, our businesses, our clients. That was one of the reasons I think as an instructor, people always used to say, "Oh my God, you're such a good instructor," because I taught thousands upon thousands of bodies over the years, but every time I taught, I would still be as nervous as the time. And it was like, I was my own boss. Like, it didn't matter. No one could fire me. But it was like as though they could. And I cared that much. But as soon as that music went on, as soon as that little microphone was on, I was in it with those people. Like, they were everything to me. We were like, it was a ride. It didn't matter how bad I felt about me, because in that moment, it was about them. And that's presence, isn't it?
And I love that you bring that up, presence, because that's what our next guest is coming up. So it's a gorgeous way to obviously round up, because he's coming on to obviously talk about Stoicism, and it's all about being present and stuff like that. So if you could give our listeners 3 tips how to recognise and try and be present, what would you give them? I think it's a gorgeous way to obviously...
How to be present. So learning to... I would say scan your own body and realize that just taking a few moments to have a few deep breaths, put your feet on the ground and just think like, what's going on for me? Like, is there any tension? Is there any feelings of anxiety? What is going on for me? Just so you know, and you're able to be like, okay, am I excited? So that leads us into the presence of our own body. I would say the second one would be getting really clear on what matters, because getting clear on what actually matters for you. What is the end goal? Why am I here? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Because then that means that you can let go of probably lots of things that are bothering you right now.
We're learning.
Close them tabs. Don't need them anymore.
And then I would say the third thing, maybe something that I heard the other day is, it was around fear, faith and fear being 2 sides of the same coin. So if we're fearful, we experience anxiety. And if we are in trust, if we are in faith that everything is going to be okay, we are able to relax and be in trust of the present moment.
Wow.
So they're both future-based. So if we're just like, I've been here before, like, shit happens. I've only got what's in the moment right now. So I'm not sure whether that answers
That's
it.
good, because
our
next guest also is an author of a book called Fearless by Design, which is around fear.
It was almost planned, and it was
so amazing ending to that lovely podcast.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Much.
Thank you. What a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you, honestly. Thank you so much. So
Thanks
grateful.
for having me.